Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Putt.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Hope you are well as always. Today is the 7th of September 2016. Our sun sign is in Virgo, represented by the tarot card of the Hermit. The moon sign presently is in Scorpio. Okay, we're presently in Scorpio, represented by the tarot card of Death, means that there's a transition going on. This is a card dealing with the emotions, with water. So what is being affected and the transformation is taking place on an emotional level, which then affects the physical because the emotions can be pretty heavy. And we'll be making a transition later today from one moon sign to the next, and we're moving to the next moon sign, which would be Sagittarius, represented by the angel of temperance, which is a fire sign. So let's take a look at some of these aspects we're talking about today and dealing with. What we've looked at so far since this day began, shortly after midnight, was a trine with Pluto, bringing some transformative energies, deep transformative energies in a positive way to that Virgo nature, to that nature of ourselves, so wanting to teach, to heal, to help. As it got to early morning, 6:34 a.m., Venus imagination is now in a sextile with Saturn, looking to apply some focus to the way we apply our imagination. And then, of course, the healer, the wounded part of ourselves, Chiron, in a trine with Scorpio, our emotions. So finding out, digging into our emotions, see where that feeling, see where that wounded part is that needs to be healed so we can take care of that. 11:38 a.m. Scorpio is going to be in a sextile here with Mercury. So emotions connected with communication, how we're going to, what kind of message is there? Mercury's the messenger. So what kind of message, how are we going to communicate what it is that we are feeling? And then 7:42 p.m., Jupiter expands that realm of emotions and feelings, and we go void of course only for a short period of time, because about 40 minutes later or so, the moon then moves out of the void of course place into the next sign, which would be Sagittarius, the fire sign, where we now have an opportunity to look and temper all of the things that we've experienced and learned throughout the course of this day. Okay, so remember, we're coloring everything through the conscious mind, which is focused towards the hermit, the idea of shining that lantern high. And then underneath that unconscious, we're dealing with water, emotions, and then later ideas that come out of the emotional realm. Okay. Moon phase, waxing moon, going up to the full moon. It's 32% there, 32.7%. September 16th will be at the full moon. On the Jewish calendar, year 5776, today is the fourth day of Elul. Elul is a new month which began on Sunday. And just a little note here of what Elul is about. Elul, as the last month of the Jewish year, Elul is traditionally a time of introspection and stock taking, a time to review one's deeds and spiritual progress over the past year and prepare for the upcoming days of awe of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. As the month of divine mercy and forgiveness, it's the most opportune time for return to God through prayer, charity, and increased Avrat Yisrael, love for the fellow Jew, in the quest for self-improvement and coming closer to God. Okay, so important thing to hear to take away is just the last month of the Jewish year. We're getting ready to go into the beginning of the new year. All the days of awe is one term for it, and it's Rosh Hashanah, which is coming up. So that time will be here soon enough. So we're ending one cycle of a year, getting ready to move into the next one as far as the Jewish calendar goes. Daily thought, Jewish unity. The first thing needed to fix this world is that Jews should love each other and be united. This can begin even without a planning committee and without funding. It can begin with you. Solar wind 471.4 kilometers per second. Planetary K index quiet at the moment with a 3, possible unsettledness by next 24 hours to a 4. At the large opening on the top of the sun here. Several of them, one here. Feeling the effects of that, I'm sure. M-class flare possibilities at 15%, X-class at 1%. Geomagnetic storm activity in the mid-latitudes subsiding slightly over the next 24 hours as far as being active. And in the higher latitudes, it seems to be remaining stable, just a slight increase in the minor range from 15 to 20%. Okay, so that's the energy we're looking at today. Now, if you recall from yesterday's show, I was showing you the stories all about the field of consciousness that exists between the Earth plane and the dome or the ionosphere, however you want to look at that. And within that realm of space between there is all of this energy bouncing around, this field of consciousness, this electromagnetic energy that has been affected by the energy that is sent down from above and the energy that is coming from the earth when this energy from above interacts with it. And there we are in the middle of it dealing with all of this energy, so we have to process it in some sort of a way, shape, and form. That's what our objective is. Now, it could be that as all of this electromagnetic energy is bouncing around, it gives us an understanding then of how we are influenced by the various uh, qualities of these different astrological principles that are laid out before us. Okay, because if there's some way that they are arranged and connected, or maybe imprinted upon the dome, or maybe some sort of way imprinted out there in the ionosphere, there could definitely be an electrical charge that we're receiving from that that adds to the mix. Just throwing out different ideas because I'm always curious to understand more and more how we truly are affected by what's going on out there. And this electromagnetic exchange is certainly something that does help to explain, to some degree or another, the connections that we do have with many things. Astrology certainly being one way, simply a way to look and understand the energies around us. Nothing more, nothing less. You don't give your power up to astrology, there's nothing to give your power up to. It's no different than looking outside and realizing it's raining, it's snowing, it's sunshine. It's just a way of looking at the weather, and it's a psychological tool because we can look and see that people fall into different categories, and everybody falls into these particular categories. So, and classifications, and so we can look and help to understand more of ourselves and more of others simply by understanding the way the cosmos around us imprints those ideas and energies on each and everything that's here. Okay, so there you go. That's our cosmic weather. UFO news is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Today I have 4 good stories for you. First story here is a story about a giant triangle that hovers for about half an hour over northern Australia. Atherton Tablelands, Northern Australia. A young family claimed to have spotted a massive triangle UFO, allegedly 100 times bigger than a plane. The identified flying object emerged over the tablelands September 3rd, 2016, Saturday. Kyle Methot was with two young boys and his partner Deborah Price playing with sparklers in the front yard of their home in Heberton on the weekend about 7:30 p.m. when they noticed something unusual in the distance. Mr. Methot recalled that he saw one light in the sky, and for him it was way too large to be a star. He decided to get his partner's phone to take pictures of the light. Moments later, he noticed another two lights making a triple triangle shape with the first light. This time, Mr. Methot started to realize that it was a triangle UFO with three bright lights. He then snapped multiple photos of the UFO as it hovered in the same spot for about 30 minutes before it disappeared. He said it was there zipping weird and fast, like no drone or plane can do. The lights were reportedly about 2 centimeters apart in the sky. Mr. Methot thinks it had been an enormous aerial object. A spokesman for the Australian Defence Force stated that there was no proof of military aircraft at the time or sighting in the Heberton area. UFO researcher Alec Brimacombe confirmed that Mr. Methot's pictures appeared to show a triangular object. He said if the witness was telling the truth about the object being spotted with the naked eye, then he cannot be put to just photographic anomaly. All right, and there is our objects in question. Definitely looks, three lights. Imagine it being connected to a triangle here, which would be in the middle. All right, moving on. UFO sighting in New Jersey triggered Air Force investigation. 5 years ago, seeing something strange or unrecognizable in the night sky was taken with some modicum of seriousness. Perhaps this was due to the national paranoia associated with the Cold War. On the contrary, it was a reflection of an optimistic zeitgeist. In the 60s, humankind was at the dawn of a new era, one in which it would be no longer confined to the exploration of one world. This was a time when popular culture was capturing the imagination of a public coming to terms with the idea that we may be neither alone nor the oldest civilization in the universe. For several weeks in the spring of 1966, there was a wave of UFO sightings across the United States that made national headlines. The reports were coming from credible eyewitnesses, police officers, and firefighters, in addition to ordinary citizens who all calmly recalled their encounters with fantastic objects in the sky, while occasionally giving pause to express incredulity at their own experience. Later that year, in response to the rash of sightings, CBS News anchor Walter Cronkite hosted a primetime special, UFO Friend, Foe, or Fantasy. That September, the Birds fantasized about such visits from outer space in the song Mr. Spaceman, and in the fall TV lineup that year, a little series called Star Trek premiered on NBC. In Washington, Representative Gerald R. Ford of Michigan, who would be president a decade later, called for congressional investigation into what was happening. Many Michigan residents felt the number of incidents were sufficient to justify some action by our government. The same day that Ford called for the House and Senate committee hearings on the matter, some residents on the Jersey Shore were seeing strange things in the sky over northern Ocean County. Here we have a clipping from what was going on there. Many hold otherworldly theory about unexplained flying objects. It says the U.S. Air Force would have a hard time convincing the most sure residents that flying saucers are just as much science fiction. More than 2/3 of those questions is a spot survey yesterday said that they think the craft do exist. Okay, so it's there. And more to the article, but again, just showing the significance that these things take on and how they have been studied over time and looked at by different agencies, though they deny that they look at them, they actually do. All right, here's a couple of documentaries for you to check out. This first one here is a documentary called Hangar 18. Says Scott Seawaring writes that the documentary has been in my mind a lot, so I want to share it with you. You may like it as much as I did. It's informative and enlightening. What happens when a UFO crashes? Some experts claim that the UFO wreckage and even the pilots are transported to a top secret facility in Dayton, Ohio called Hangar 18, located at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Declassified government documents prove that the disk from the famous Roswell event and fragments of other mysterious crashes were shipped to Wright-Patterson. Here are stories involving elected officials, UFO researchers, and former base employees, some of who are going on the record regarding Hangar 18. They spin a tale of flying saucer debris, alien bodies, cryogenic chambers, and a vast underground network that may hold secrets to the UFO mystery. Is there a conspiracy to hide UFO evidence from the highest branches of the U.S. government, or is it just a myth? All right, we have the documentary here. Check that out. And one other story about an upcoming documentary that will prove that we are not alone in the cosmos. Film distributor The Orchard just picked up the rights to release a documentary called Unacknowledged, an expose of the greatest secret in human history. The company is planning on putting it out in 2017, and its press release has some of the loftiest and, frankly, most exciting, unbelievable claims imaginable. We love it. According to a press release, the film will present the best evidence of extraterrestrial contact dating back decades, with over 100 hours of top secret military, corporate, and intelligent whistleblower testimony, documents, and UFO footage. How? Well, director Michael Mazzola reportedly focused his film on Dr. Stephen Greer, an emergency doctor and founder of the Global Disclosure Movement, who has briefed many senior government officials, including the CIA director, Pentagon admirals and generals, and senior members of Congress. Greer is very confident in his findings. We are excited to have the support and distribution heft of The Orchard for this historic documentary film that establishes that we are not alone in the universe, said Stephen Greer in the release. It is time for the truth to be known, and we are honored to have The Orchard as a partner in this effort. There's no question, no matter your beliefs, that Dr. Greer has tirelessly and consistently exposed startling revelations about UFOs, technology, and the secrets being kept from the American public, added Paul Davidson, EVP Film and Television for The Orchard. We are thrilled to be partnering with him to bring the most stunning work to the widest possible audience. All right, and there you have a trailer from this upcoming project. So, there you have it. Those are the stories that are going on. That's our UFO news for today. I'll be back. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Let's continue on. Lots to get to here. So I wanted to show you a few things that have transpired, some positive things that are going on around Donald Trump, things that aren't necessarily being reported by the mainstream news sources. First of all, what we have here is, what do you see? You see a cloud, don't you? Here's Donald Trump. Here's a cloud that appeared in the sky. It says, well, God just cast his vote. The election is over. Okay, everyone can go home now. Time to wrap this election up. The Almighty has cast his vote for president, and the forecast is grim, cloudy, with the chance of Trump. Do you see it? The sweeping wisp of hair, the angular nose, the smug mouth, the soft chin, the undeniable likeness of presidential candidate Donald Trump was spotted in the skies over Chicago August 15th, and we humans carried on like this wasn't a sign from God himself that Donald J. Trump will certainly be the next president of the United States. The image was originally posted by Fox 32 Chicago and then tweeted out by Trump's executive vice president Michael Cohen of Says Who fame late Saturday night. All right. So there's that. Very interesting, right? So that has to account for something, mean something, doesn't it? I mean, you don't often see clouds like that. And just another example, in my humble opinion, that we are in an interesting time, and it falls right in line with the idea of trumpets, abomination, the abomination of desolation, the various clues that we are in the end times here, and things are playing out accordingly. Now, one of the events that occurred over the weekend was Donald Trump's meeting with the church in Detroit. I gave you the link yesterday so you could watch his full speech. It was a really awesome speech that he gave. Really awesome speech. And then, of course, at the end, it was really amazing when he was getting his prayer shawl and the blessing that he got. So anyway, here's some information because the mainstream media was trying to downplay that people were there and so on. Well, here we could see him, and you could see he's having a good time. It says behind the scenes with Donald Trump in Detroit, how the Donald has become the hope candidate. I mean, look at him here. He's standing there and he's having a good time. He's part of the whole mix. Donald Trump, the 2016 GOP presidential nominee, delivered a positive and uplifting message filled with hope and opportunity here at Great Faith Ministries International Church. In addition to Dr. Ben Carson and Omarosa, Breitbart News accompanied Trump on the trip to Detroit to provide an original and behind-the-scenes look into how he is offering an uplifting message to all Americans, including the black community. Okay, so when the media tries to tell you that there was nobody here, he was talking to an empty house, you see the pictures with your own eyes and you could see otherwise, that there are plenty of people there and they are engaging with him, taking pictures with him. He's seated with them in the church. Our nation is too divided, he says. We talk past each other, not to each other, and those who seek office do not do enough to step into the community and learn what is going on. Trump told the churchgoers from the podium, where he briefly spoke about why he was there. They don't know. They have no clue. I'm here today to learn so that we can, together, remedy injustice in any form, and so that we can also remedy economics so that the African American community can benefit economically through jobs and income and in so many other different ways. So here we have part one of the speech right here. His speech at the podium came after he taped an interview with Bishop Wayne Jackson, who, along with his wife, Dr. Beverly Jackson, served as senior pastors for the inner city Detroit church. The interview will air next week. Okay, so you've got plenty of people around there, plenty in attendance. After the interview, before Trump's speech, he sat in the front row of the church's pews for the opening of the Saturday service, and even danced along a little with the black leaders as the service opened up with a few upbeat songs. Later in the day, with Carson as his guide, Trump visited Carson's boyhood home in Detroit, walking down Carson Street, talking to people there, many of whom seem supportive of what Trump is doing. Okay. In the speech in the church, Trump laid out how the permanent political class has failed everyone in the United States, including America's black communities. Our political system has failed the people and works only to enrich itself, Trump said. I want to reform that system so that it works for you, everyone in this room. I believe true reform can only come from outside the system. I really mean that. Being a businessman is much different than being a politician because I understand what is happening and we are going outside of the establishment. Okay, you got the rest of his speech here. Trump has already successfully defined himself as a candidate of change, while his opponent Hillary Clinton represents the status quo. In the Detroit event, however, aides to Trump note he took a different tack. His new aim, in addition to representing change, is to begin representing hope and a positive outlook for the United States with an uplifting policy agenda designed to fix problems for everyone in the country. What we're seeing is a fundamental shift in the campaign, Jason Miller, Trump's senior communications advisor, told Breitbart News. Mr. Trump was already the change candidate, but this week his message of inclusion and optimism made him the hope candidate as well. With Hillary having abandoned the campaign trail in order to dodge questions about her continual ethic issues, I'm not sure how she ever gets that back. Okay, we have more to the article. Here we have a nice standing ovation from everybody after his talk. So lots of great pictures there. It says here, Amoroso, who is a pastor at Trump, as Trump noted in a speech, said Trump is clearly gaining support in the black community. You were in the room, she said. You felt the spirit. It was authentic. It was a very natural connection because they know that Mr. Trump is going to fight for them. When he talked about jobs, when he talked about the economy, when he talked about his family and his faith, they connected because these are things that all Americans worry about. They're worried about their families, they're worried about their future, and they're very excited about someone who's going to put God back into the schools, God back into every element of our lives. Unapologetically, Mr. Trump is a man of faith. Okay, and then here's a picture where he's got the prayer shawl that was given to him by the bishop. Okay, so I'm going to leave the rest of the article for you to read. As you can see, there is a lot here to this article. Okay, so something you definitely haven't heard a lot about in the press was really, really awesome. You should listen to that speech if you haven't. It was a short speech, and you know what he kept saying in the speech that was very impressive is, I'm here to listen. I'm just here to listen. You know, there's been many times if you pay attention to his talks and if you've heard them over and over, he uses the phrase that he's just a messenger. He's just a messenger. And that to me is very significant. He's not trying to be anything more. He's trying to deliver a message. What message is he bringing? Well, I believe it's a important message because you have the combination of Trump, Pence, trumpets, and whenever we hear the stories in the Bible, the book of Revelation, or wherever trumpets come into play, they are usually there at the announcement of a message. So here is a messenger, part of the trumpets team that is here to deliver a message. And we see him reaching out in ways that are really awesome, these spiritual ways, talking about things that are so important because we don't normally see this from candidates. They usually avoid such things in such open ways like this. So I think it's really awesome, and I think that's why people are getting more and more excited about him because they're seeing he's for real. He's a real person going into real situations to listen, to learn. Now, the other day, there was also a big endorsement for him. He's endorsed by nearly 90 military figures. Donald J. Trump's campaign released an open letter on Tuesday from about 90 retired generals in the military and military officials endorsing his presidential campaign, urging a long overdue course of correction in our national security posture. The letter in support of Mr. Trump was signed by 88 retired military figures, comes as the campaign prepares for a week focused on national security, with a forum hosted by NBC and MSNBC on Wednesday evening alongside Hillary Clinton, the Democratic presidential nominee. All right, let me click over. I have a PDF of this letter here. Open letter from military leaders. The 2016 election affords the American people an urgency needed opportunity to make a long overdue course correction in our national security posture and policy. As retired senior leaders of Americans military, we believe that such a change can only be made by someone who not only has been deeply involved with and substantially responsible for the hollowing out of our military and the burgeoning threats facing our country around the world. For this reason, we support Donald Trump's candidacy to be our next commander in chief. For the past 8 years, Americans' armed forces have been subjected to a series of ill considered and debilitating budget cuts, policy choices, and combat operations that have left the superb men and women in uniform less capable in performing their vital missions in the future that we may require them to be. Simultaneously, enemies of this country have been emboldened, sensing weakness and irresolution in Washington and opportunities for aggression at our expense and that of other freedom loving nations. In our professional judgment, the combined effort is potentially extremely perilous. That is especially the case if our government persists in the practices that have brought us this present pass. For this reason, we support Donald Trump in his commitment to rebuild our military, to secure our borders, and to defeat our Islamic supremacist adversaries, restore law and order domestically. We urge our fellow Americans to do the same. And here, General Burwell, B. Bell, General Alfred G. Hansen, Admiral Jerry Johnson, General Crosby Butch Saint, Lieutenant General William Boykin, Lieutenant General Marvin Covalt, Lieutenant General Gordon Fornell, and go on and on. Major Generals, Rear Admirals, Brigadier Generals. Okay, so we have 88. 88. Good number. Good number. If you notice when Donald Trump does his talks, and you can see every single day he's out doing a talk, and it's live on YouTube. It's brought to you by Right Side Broadcasting, which is a team of people that travel with him and they set up at these events. You can see at all of these events, the lectern, the place where he's doing his lecture, the podium, and right in front of it, there's a number where you can text to. And the number on there is, I think it's 22088. So some really good numbers there. Nice, good numbers for anyone who's interested in the numerology of what's going on, that he has these very significant numbers, so visible for everyone to see. Now, Donald's opponent is Hillary Clinton, as we know, and Hillary Clinton's been up to a lot of bad things over the years. Well, Wikileaks has been releasing information and releasing more information, and the releasing is not about to end anytime soon. As a matter of fact, Julian Assange was on Fox News last night, and he said that new Hillary bombshell could drop as soon as next week. During an interview with Fox News' Sean Hannity last night, Wikileaks founder Julian Assange suggested that the organization could drop its long-promised Hillary Clinton bombshell as soon as next week. Asked by Hannity how soon the new information would be released, Assange responded, "The first batch is reasonably soon. We're quite confident about it now. We might put out some teasers. I don't want to promise anything because you have to see how the formatting goes, but we might put out some teasers as early as the next week or the week after." The revelations from Wikileaks are widely expected to represent the much anticipated October surprise for the 2016 presidential election, although the information could arrive weeks in advance. Last month, Assange told Megyn Kelly that the new material on Clinton could swing the outcome of the election if it catches fire, and that the American people have a right to understand who it is they're electing. Elsewhere in the interview, Assange pointed out how Hillary Clinton brazenly lied to the FBI when she claimed that she couldn't remember what a C stood for on classified documents. Maybe she thought it stood for Clinton. In fact, we've already released thousands of cables by Hillary Clinton where Clinton, see that signature with the C in brackets right there. We have thousands of examples where she herself has used the C in brackets and signed it off, with more than 22,000 times that she received cables from others with C in brackets. And here he held up an example. So yeah, maybe she thought that the C was just, Clinton. And she just, who knows? Who knows what's going on with that woman? But it certainly isn't something that is very positive for us. Now, if we look over the course of time, we've had a lot of problems and challenges. Hillary Clinton's been in office since the time of Watergate. Back during that time, she was removed from a case, the Watergate case, because she was thought to be unethical and untrustworthy at that time. Well, that just kind of set the tone for a whole career where she's been untrustworthy and unethical as well. We know of all the scandals that are going on, and we know about the string of death that has occurred around her with people who haven't agreed with her. Who knows what Hillary has on people, but it's kind of crazy how she seems to be getting a pass on everything. When we hear more and more about what the FBI is doing, I think it's becoming more evident to the general public that the FBI is in the bag as well, that their organization has been compromised by those who are wanting to facilitate a Hillary presidency because they are not on the side of the American people. Now, I have to believe that there are good people still within the FBI. Question is, when are you going to step up? When are you good people out there, part of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, going to step up and see to it that the criminals within your organization are going to be removed from power? How about the same with the Department of Justice? There has to be good people. I can't believe that the people that are running things is the norm within those agencies. I have to believe that there are good people out there. Now, over the course of Hillary's time, she has gotten sick. Yesterday, I put the video for you and the link of the doctor who talked about the possible analysis of Hillary, that she has Parkinson's disease, and that he estimated it had been about 10 years or more that she has had this particular situation. And all of this was put forward basically from looking at the public bit of information about her and then bringing that into some sort of investigative conclusion. Well, over the last couple of days, we know that she had a coughing fit at the rally on this Labor Day. And then on the plane afterwards, she had another coughing fit, actually had to go to the front of the plane. They closed this curtain, which was a see-through curtain, so I really don't know what the purpose of that closing the curtain was. And then she had another coughing fit. She was at a radio station, and she was doing an interview. If you watch through the various interviews that are done with people who have been at these events, it is really mind-boggling the disconnect that goes on with her supporters. Because when asked, what do you think about Hillary and this cough, they just, oh, well, it's just normal. She just has a tickle in her throat. Must be the allergies. And they buy the excuses that she gives out as if this is what's normal. It's not normal. She was coughing for over 4 minutes. Then she went on the plane. She had to stop her talk to go up and get taken care of. And she's had these problems over and over again. So it's not a new situation. Well, here we have a story because remember the gentleman who has been with her, who is her handler. He's been around her numerous times. It's been determined he's not a bodyguard. He's not a member of Secret Service staff. It says Hillary's mysterious handler pops up on plane during coughing fit. Clinton's mysterious handler disappeared mid-August. This was after people started noticing that he was around her all the time. In recent bizarre events of the campaign trail, a strange man was noticed at Hillary Clinton's side. The man dressed like a Secret Service agent, but his actions prove otherwise. In a recent campaign stop in Union Hall in front of a sparse crowd, at about the time when some liberal protesters began to protest, Hillary Clinton suddenly froze. She looked dazed and lost. Seeing this, a group of men rushed to assist the candidate on the stage. One man, however, gently pats the candidate on the back and then says, "Keep talking." Okay, that particular event, is there a picture of it here? No, there isn't a picture of that. But that was the event where he walked up and remember, she had just kind of froze. And then there was that moment where she just looked absolutely vulnerable. And he walked up and patted her on the back and said, "Keep talking." And what did she do? She responded back, just like okay, we'll keep talking. Well, the video by the doctor the other day, Dr. Ted Noel, when he was speaking about the various situations people have when they go through some of these Parkinson's episodes. He says one thing is the brain has a shutdown, and when the brain is starting to reboot itself, it will oftentimes just repeat back what somebody is telling it. And this is a pretty common thing. And so when he walked up to her right after this phase and says, "Okay, keep talking," and then she repeats, "Okay, we're going to keep talking," and she says it over the microphone as if, it's a normal thing to be telling the people out there, it just kind of plays in, according to him and others that he described, as these are situations and symptoms of a deeper problem. And it kind of showed him and confirmed for him some of her behavior was very much what he thought it was. And so this is an interesting article here, and here's the man. So he's being found out. Okay, he's being investigated who this man is. He's carrying something with him here, which looks like an EpiPen, ready to go, and he has been seen with her on the trail, and he then just sort of disappeared when people started asking questions about who he was. Well, now he's not going to be able to avoid it because his picture's out there. People are looking into him. It's on the front page of Drudge Report. Who is this man? So there you have it. We'll find out more as time goes by, I'm sure. Now, Putin has a say in all of this matter. Putin drops a bombshell. Hillary is weeks away from heart failure event. A shocking Foreign Intelligence Service report circulating the Kremlin today is warning that the U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton is just months away from experiencing a critical heart failure event brought on by her years of alcoholic abuse that have led to her having congestive heart failure and is now causing her to have uncontrollable coughing fits, for which she has been prescribed powerful blood thinners to prevent her blood from clotting. But now that appears to be failing. According to this report, SVR and analysts have long known about Hillary Clinton's alcohol abuse that began to cause her serious problems in 2005 when she was a U.S. Senator, fell over drunk prior to giving a speech in Buffalo, New York, and that accelerated during her 2008 presidential campaign, with New York Times reporter Amy Chozick telling ABC News at the time that she was surprised by the extent of Clinton's drinking when she began covering her. She likes to drink. We were on the campaign trail in 2008, and the press thought she was taking some shots to pander to voters in Pennsylvania. No. All right, so here we have some ideas of what happened with her brain, where the blood clot was. Okay, videos of the coughing fits. All right, so is this real? I don't know. Again, a lot of this is speculation, but at a certain point in time, we have to, look at this and see that there's more than meets the eye with this speculation. Remember the piece that we talked about? You can find it out there. It's a General Major Stubblebine, or Major General Stubblebine, and he talked about intelligence. He was the man who was responsible for revamping the United States military's intelligence program. And he says the way that intelligence works is real simple. He said intelligence is made up of bits of information. You have a bit of information here, a dot as he called it, and then over there you have another dot of information, and over there you have another dot. And all of these dots are out there, and we as the general public look at this information and we see it as it is a series of dots. We might not think anything more of it. But for those who are investigating further, you start connecting the dots. And when you start connecting the dots, you find out that there's a deeper story underneath the big story. Sort of in the way that the Bible code is able to go and connect dots on a deeper level. There's deeper level of information that is connected in the public events. So we look at these events that are taking place in the world, and we have to ask ourselves, which one of these dots connect together? Some of these are going to be rumors, and they're not going to go anywhere. Speculation, rumors, what have you. But some of these might be truth, that is getting out there in a certain way, because as we understand, people are uh, getting visits from various alphabet organizations. They're getting ostracized on social media. They're getting called out by various political leaders and the way that they're speaking and presenting information. So there has to be a lot of covert activity that has to happen in putting this information out. People are remaining anonymous at times because they don't want to get in trouble. And it's a big problem that we're having right now with all of this, trouble that's going on when people are just presenting the truths. So we have to be investigators. We have to look more. Our mainstream media, they forgot about how to investigate. For some reason, they decided they weren't going to do that anymore. And again, I have to ask, if you're a member of the mainstream media and you're going before the people and you're telling them a story that is not true, but has potential to cause harm to Americans, I have to ask myself, how can you do that? And don't you yourselves have families that you want to protect from the very evil that you're telling people don't exist? That's what I have to wonder. Or do you think that you're immune because you work for a mainstream station? You're immune from these problems. You don't think they really exist? So the extremist situation that's going on with the Muslims and the jihad that's going on, do you think that they're just going to stop if they were on a full invasion? They're going to stop before they were to attack you and ask you, oh, do you work for a mainstream network? Which one is it? And then let that be the determining factor of whether they attack you or not? No. They're just going to attack you because you're American. You're part of the infidel. You're part of America, what they believe is the great Satan. Same with the illegal aliens. Do you think any of these situations that are out there where Americans have been killed by illegals in this country? Do you recall a situation where, the drunk illegal alien stopped and before he ran somebody over, asked them what party they were part of, what their beliefs were? No. They're just having these accidents and people are getting killed. Could be anybody. So we have dangerous situations which are occurring. And when mainstream people are covering these up, they are doing themselves a disservice, and they're doing a disservice to their own families because they are putting them in harm's way. They're not protecting them by any way, shape, or form. Now, for a long time, Fox News has been accused of being in on the take. And a lot of people want to dispute that because they think Fox News is this place of integrity. Well, Fox News is not a place of integrity. Fox News, like the other agencies, they are controlled, and they've been controlled for a long while. I like to look at the media in a real simple way. Think of the general public are the sheep, the sheeple. The mainstream media are the sheepdogs that have to round up the sheep. You've got the Fox dog, you have the MSNBC dog, you have the CNN dog. You have the other ones out there as well. Each one of them looks a little different. Maybe one is brown with white spots. Maybe one is black, with certain spots. Maybe one doesn't have any spots at all. And you look at these dogs and you think that they're oh so different, and they are. They might behave differently. They might even be different breeds of dog. But I can tell you one thing, as they are rounding up the sheep, they're not chasing them to different pens. They're all chasing them to the same pen. They're all leading them to the same slaughterhouse. So it doesn't matter if the dogs look different. It doesn't matter if they behave differently, because when they act in unity. They act together to guide everybody into the same pen. And that is what we need to be aware of. So don't be fooled just because Fox does things one way and MSNBC does another. They're both leading you to the same place. They're just leading because they know that each one has a particular audience and they have to go after their audience in a certain way to get them to move. And that's all that's happening. Here's an article. It says, confirmed Rupert Murdoch instructed Fox News to take down Donald August 2015. An extensive article with New York Magazine, mostly outlining the rather sordid details of Roger Ailes' readers, may also note specific confirmation of something we outlined in August of last year, 2015. Fox News owner Rupert Murdoch instructed Fox News executives to take down Donald Trump. Excerpt from the magazine. Murdoch was not a fan of Trump's and especially did not like his stance on immigration. The antipathy was mutual. Murdoch's been very bad to me, Trump told me in March. A few days before the first GOP debate on Fox in August 2015, Murdoch called Ailes at his home. This has gone on long enough, Murdoch said, according to a person briefed in the conversation. Murdoch told Ailes he wanted Fox News moderators Megyn Kelly, Brett Baier, and Chris Wallace to hammer Trump on a variety of issues. Ailes, understanding the GOP electorate better than most at that point, likely thought it was a bad idea. Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee, Ailes told a colleague around that time, but he didn't fight Murdoch on the debate directive. On the night of August 6th, in front of 24 million people, Fox moderators peppered Trump with harder-hitting questions, but it was Kelly's question regarding Trump's history of crude comments about women that created a media sensation. He seemed personally wounded by her suggestion that he spoke to a temperament that might not be suited for presidency. I've been very nice to you, though I probably may not be based on the way you treated me, he said. Well, this is interesting on many levels, but more importantly, for very specific confirmation aspects. Last year, people were struggling to understand what was going on with Fox News. Many people saw the bias. Even more people grew outraged at what they were witnessing. Unfortunately, many people would not or could not accept what was brutally obvious. Additionally, when CTH outlined the specifics of the vectorial alignment that was coming from the directive, multiple entities within the conservative blogosphere claimed we were advancing some form of ridiculous conspiratorial analysis. Okay, and here we have Rupert Murdoch tweet: when is Donald Trump going to stop embarrassing his friends, let alone the whole country? Additionally, within the cited New York Magazine article, you note that Lachlan Murdoch personally instructed HarperCollins publication, another Murdoch business, to give Megyn Kelly a $6 million advance on a $10 million book deal. In 2015, we again found out who Kelly's publisher was. We presented the specific prediction, again in the face of much antagonism. However, we are correct. So why is this confirmation important? If you go through the timeline and look at the confirmation of the New York Magazine, you'll note that's a specific group within Fox News who formed the initial pro-Murdoch anti-Trump coalition are Brett Baier, Megyn Kelly, and Chris Wallace, three moderators from the first debate. Now, coincidentally, these key figures were the ones specifically directed to take down Trump and three anti-Trump amigos on the Fox debate panel. Okay, and then secondly, if you begin to think about Baier, Kelly, and Wallace beyond the scope of the debate itself, you might also begin to remind yourself and cross-reference in your mind which Fox shows consistently highlight the Never Trump punditry. Think specifically about Fox News and Brett Baier, Megyn Kelly, and Chris Wallace. Now think about which shows give continual voice to Brett Hume, Stephen Hayes, Charles Krauthammer, Bill Kristol, George Will, Jonah Goldberg, Ben Shapiro, Rich Lowry, Glenn Beck, Dana Loesch, Katie Pavlich, Chris Steyerwalt, and Guy Benson. All right, so confirmation about what people have known, that the media, Fox News, is not a fair source by any stretch of the imagination. They haven't been for a long while. They're not fair and balanced by any shape of the imagination. They are unfair and unbalanced, to say the least. And the more people realize this, the better off it's going to be. You know, they used to write all these memos. Rupert Murdoch was accused of writing memos of, this is how it's going to be. You're going to follow this storyline today. You're going to not talk about these things. You're going to downplay these events. This is the way Fox News operated. We know that there's been lots of problems there. We know that they were instrumental in the cover-ups that went on with 9/11. You know, the gatekeepers at Fox News are working really heavy handed to put their influence out to people all over the world that are watching them. People believe it's real. Yet again, 1917, the Council on Foreign Relations took over the media. So it's an important reminder that our media has been controlled now for just about 100 years. They didn't give back the control, they've just found better ways of doing it, and people watch and they turn a blind eye because they're conditioned like dogs just to simply act and behave the way that they do. You know, there's a video. You can find it online. I think I posted it up at my Facebook page. And it was a video of a Pavlovian experiment that was done. You had a group of people sitting in a waiting room in a doctor's office, and a new person comes in and sits down, and she's waiting for her appointment with all these other people. And then there's a buzz sound that occurs, and everybody stands up. And the girl looks and wonders why everyone's standing up, and then they all sit down. And then the buzz sound happens again, and everybody stands up, and she looks at what's going on, and they all sit down. But a third time, when the bell of the buzz sound went on, she stands up with them and then sits down, not knowing why. And this continues on. And they keep doing this. And then one by one, the different patients in the room get called in until the girl is the last one in the office. And the sound goes off, she stands up and then sits down. About this time, a new patient comes in and sits down. The sound goes off, the woman stands up. The guy looks at her, wondering what's going on. She sits down. The bell goes off a second time. She stands up. The guy asks her, "Why are you standing up?" And she says, "I don't know. Everybody else was doing it, so I just started following along." So by the third time the bell went off, he's now standing up with her. And this continued on, and then another patient came in. The whole point is we are easily conditioned without even thinking about it. And it's done all the time. There's behavioral experiments done upon the American people all the time. We need to understand that and get control of our minds and our beings, because I can assure you, if you don't take charge of your being, there's going to be somebody else who's going to make an attempt to do that for you, to try to manipulate you. They're doing it every single day. When you turn on that media, they're working to manipulate you, to manipulate your mind. And if you're not careful, they're going to get in there and they're going to twist around that information, so you're not going to know what's going on. Remember, there was a study about a year ago, came out, said that those who watch the mainstream news, in Fox, CNN were two at the top of the list, and MSNBC, those who watch mainstream news sources are less informed about what's going on in the world than those who don't even watch the news at all. It's very important to understand. They're less informed than those who don't watch the news. The reason they're less informed is because those stations are all manufacturing news that isn't true. They're telling lies. And so before you can even get to the truth, you have to unravel what are the lies that they're telling you. Whereas somebody who wasn't even watching, didn't hear all the lies, they can use their common sense more to understand what's going on in a whole much different way. So very significant how we are manipulated, and we need to take charge of who we are. This article here by Spirit Science speaks to this ideas about all these energies intensifying around us and what our role and how we deal with this is. It says around the world there are all sorts of craziness and shifting going on. Many empaths feel like the rug has been pulled out from underneath them. What's happening? Why is it happening? How long can we expect this to last? The number of illnesses and deaths that are around right now are just staggering. Just wow, a large number of people are not making it through this change period at all. Youngsters are dying suddenly, and there are the sudden onset illnesses, relationships ending, and wow, no wonder you're feeling like this. For those of you that are having it easy during this period, just go sit quietly in your corner until we call you, okay? So this is what it looks like is happening. A major transition period, as August is always after Lionsgate. All the lowest vibration people who can't make the transition to 5D are leaving the plane. What is Lionsgate? It's an astrological event that happens on the 8th of August each year, and is effectively the planet's new year. It also introduces unity energy and opens a portal for that energy. Unity energy is the driving theme of the Lightworker's mission. We're here to restore unity. So we know that the empaths absorb energy from those around them, processing it through their bodies and transmuting it into clean energy. Well, what's happening now is the empaths roll on a global scale. There are those of us empaths who are connected directly to the hives of people that we shift for. You recognize yourself if you do endless shifting but never seem to make inroads. Basically, every time you shift an energy, it gets filled again by the energies that can't be processed in the group of people you're energetically connected to. That's why it seems like you never make progress. Effectively, all of the energies of the people leaving are being pumped into us for scrubbing and cleaning. Those left behind and mourning, often also lower vibration, are unable to process. They fully process, so we're carrying a huge part of their load as well. Says also, we've had the hand of God, came hot on the heels of Lionsgate, and we're definitely reeling from the effect of both of these. But the news isn't good. We're entering another shadow. This was the eclipse which occurred on the 1st. It says you may feel overwhelmed, weak, insecure, so stay positive. You may be quick to anger over the next period. Don't get obsessed with details and overanalyze. On the flip side, there are those who will have an easy period over the eclipse. Okay, so it says reach out, help somebody today. The moment you help someone one-on-one, the empath load on you will decrease. You will feel better by doing it. You have some meditations, how to move that energy along. Okay, so this all ties in to exactly what I was talking about yesterday with the field of energy. There's this field of energy that's bouncing all over the place, and we are part of that. Our consciousness is directly connected to it because we are electromagnetic beings that are receiving electromagnetic charges that are floating through this field that ranges from the earth plane all the way up to the ionosphere, the dome. Okay, so we have all this energy bouncing around in here, and we're affected by that. And if we don't get control of how we are affected by it, if we don't get control of ourselves, then we're just going to get bounced all over the place. We see it happening. We have fire, water, air, and earth. Those are the elements we're dealing with. Fire are ideas. There's a lot of fire, a lot of ideas bouncing around. But ideas can push against each other and butt heads with each other, can become aggressive if it isn't expressed in a creative way. Everyone wants their ideas expressed, and so we have to find ways to be humble in sharing our ideas and working with others. You know, who gets credit for that? Sometimes it really doesn't matter, but people are real sticklers on that. And you have emotions, water. Emotions are very powerful. They're like buttons that get pushed. That's why we have to wear that armor of God to protect ourselves from the emotions all around. Okay? Then we have air, which are words, actions, expressions. People speak words all day long. People have actions that they do all day long. All of this affected by what they're feeling, what they're thinking through as they go through this energetic field. And that is a result and plays itself out in the words that they say and the actions they take. And sometimes those words and actions are quite derogatory or negative, which simply feed that energy that's out there. And then the physical form that gets created from all of this is one that is negative or heavy, or what we're experiencing in the world today. These lies that we have, living in this world of lies, didn't just happen overnight. It happened because we allowed the little white lie to become the big white lie, to become the huge lie, to where we don't even understand the lie anymore because we've gotten so used to lying all the time. You can, watch how lying is extended from life into play. When you look at any of the reality shows out there, pretty much the reality shows are based on the idea that if you lie, you get ahead. And so people go and they lie and lie and lie. And it's very rare to see when somebody actually sticks to their guns And I think that's part of a great social experiment to see where a person is going to give away their integrity and where a person is not. So that I think is very significant for us to understand. All right, so that brings us now to a channeled message today. This is Archangel Gabriel, channeled from yesterday.
Archangel Gabriel Daily Message Tuesday, September 6, 2016 by Shelley Young. Dear ones, when you feel the energies strongly, it is a gift because it allows you to have more tangible proof that you are indeed shifting and evolving. It is wonderful in the sense that it shows you that you truly changing, from your own efforts and evolution, and also with profound universal assistance. The shift becomes more than a concept. You start to feel that there is a bigger process going on that you are an integral part of, and that you are being helped and adjusted through it. When you start to acknowledge the profound purpose of it all, you become much more accepting and start to move with the energies with far greater ease than ever before. You allow yourself to see that you are beloved, included, and assisted, and become a willing dance partner with the universe, which makes the entire process so much more magical and glorious. Archangel Gabriel.
Okay, I think that's very significant, important. The dancing with the universe part, very important because we have to learn to dance with what's going on with us. The idea of dancing, it's just a metaphor for how we interact with this energy around us. We could get hit by it and we could, be dodging it as if it's out to attack us, or we could look at it as if it is interacting with us and we need to interact with it. And like any dance that would go on, you have to acknowledge your partner and acknowledge what is this dance you're doing? How are you interacting together? And when we do that, I think we find ourselves to be much more effective on what's going on. So, again, the theme seems to continue to play itself out over and over and over again. We are living in a sea of energy. We're dealing with energy. It's confirmed all over the place on this field of energy, and we are learning how to deal with it so we can be more effective each and every day. It's that simple. That simple. So let's do our meditation for today. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another breath and exhale again. And another breath and exhale. Now, as you continue to breathe, feel all of this energy shifting through your body from cell to cell. Feel all of this energy going through and cleansing each and every cell, cleansing out all of the darkness and the negativity, and replacing it with fresh, vibrant positivity. And as you feel this shift, this exchange of energy going on, your body feels lighter. And you realize that this exchange of energy is necessary. It's necessary because it is the process of life that has been occurring over and over. Our entire existence, this has occurred. And so here we are living within this sea of energy. And our objectives are simple. Simply to interact with this energy in the way that it interacts with us. So let's just imagine ourselves seeing, feeling, hearing world of energy all around us. Feeling how this energy feels as it connects with our body, connects with all of the chakras, stimulates the energy centers within our body. Imagine how and what we hear as this energy is moving all around and through us. The ideas that are stimulated and the feelings that are generated. And through all of this, imagine those things that we are then inspired to express, the words we're inspired to speak into the world through our connection to this source. Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, thank you very much for the blessings of this day. Thank you for the love that you bring into our lives and for the emanation of your divine essence that flows through each and every one of us. Thank you for blessing our lives with the light of the Christ, the light that shines bright in all, to connect us to that divinity that we all carry with us. We pray this day that we may be strong enough to bring forth and call forth this light, that it may bring cleansing to our lives, to release the old patterns of doubt and fear and negativity, that we might then replace them with love, faith, and positivity. So let the subconscious mind continue on its journey of observation and feeling the interconnectedness with the world around us, with the energetic field around us. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. All right, my friends, that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here. A lot going on in the world. A lot of significance to everything that's going on. Remember to connect the dots. Keep connecting the dots because there is another picture, another bit of information underneath all of that information that we're being given. We're learning to live within this sea of energy. We're learning to deal with it each and every day better than we were the day before. Remember, we're still dealing with some transformations. We still have some emotions to process. But then our opportunity is coming for us to be able to balance that out. Okay? To reach to that higher self within ourselves. Change is good, my friends. It's the one thing that happens all the time, over and over and over again, and will continue to happen. So we just need to learn to adapt to changes. And the more that we're able to adapt to the changes, the more we're going to find ourselves being effective in life, because we know that change is the biggest opportunity we have each and every day. That's it. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Till then, have yourself an awesome day. Be safe out there. I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.